Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
CubeMonk, featuring the world's first smart cube. Track your goods with our advanced GPS system. Welcome to the future of moving and relocation at cubemonk.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by heirs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at heirs.com.
Insured Nomads provides protection and peace of mind, with health insurance, travel insurance, group, or tailored insurance for the globally mobile. Visit us at insurednomads.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
This is Ed Cohen, your broadcast host of Global TV Talk Show. This is a unit of globalbusinessnews.net. I'm in San Diego. We have a really special show today. I've named it Shooting the Breeze. And what does this mean? Well, it means that we each have very important topics to discuss, but it's a matter of coming together, networking, of course, and using this platform for idea exchange on very, very topical things. It's February, what day is today? 24? 25. It's February 25. And, working from home, you lose track of what day is what. So you got to look at the phone. At least I do. So with us today from England is Kasia Grabda. Kasia, say hi.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and your role, your title with ICQ Global is relationship.
Yes, that's correct. I'm a relationship manager in ICQ Global. We are a people development company. In very, very short, we help leaders to understand uncommon sense. It's basically see situations from various different perspectives instead of just, you see, I told you it's going to be.
Okay, so talk about a little bit here for about 30 seconds, and then we'll get back into it and deeper later, about the global disc, the measurement device that you guys have developed. Global disc.
It's a tool what we're using. Basically, it's a blueprint why people think and behave so differently and how you can create a synergy with others. It measures individual preference based on your cultural orientation and personality type. It's amazing tool.
Okay, and so now you have a number of coaches around the world who practice this, correct?
Yeah, we have partners in 37 countries, over 100 partners right now.
That's really cool. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you to a prospect for that, Jana Masick, who's an excellent human resource talent management specialist. She worked for many years with a very large integrated energy company that's based in Florida, but with worldwide assets. And she handled a lot of talent mobility and talent management things. And with COVID and craziness going on, she finds herself now being a talk show host and also as a personal trainer. Welcome, Jana, again.
Thank you so much, Ed. I'm so excited to be here and contribute and add value to this conversation.
No question, you're going to add a lot of value because we're going to be talking about, I'm reading my notes here, agile leadership by women in today's different world, and what personal empowerment has to do with leadership. That's cool. And
Yes.
we have an education specialist, Chase Eskelson, who comes to us from the Dallas area today. He's involved as a chief executive with Verano Learning, which is a venture capital funded online K through 12 specialty education company, and they're on the cutting edge of stuff. Chase, you can do a lot better than me here in 30 seconds. Why don't you just talk about the Bridge School and the iCode and what we have later today coming up with data, the use of data. Data, what is it?
I think it depends on where you live. I've heard it both ways. So with Verana Learning Partners, we've been around for 20 years, and I really believe we've been on the cutting edge as far as education and technology and how do we support 21st century students and prepare them for the jobs that don't exist yet. And so we've been doing that, taking the very best of a digital experience, blending that with the best of the in-person experience, and launching new and pretty innovative hybrid schools all around the world.
Okay, we're going to do a deep dive on that. And in fact, later today, we have another in the series of special broadcasts with Chase and Julie Taylor and a specialist about data. Now, we're teaching K through 12, so this is like a new world, right? Brave new world coming up. So let's start, go back to Kasia. So you and Chaba work together, and you're in a unique situation. You find like-minded people who are really bright and who are into people and who are into relationships. Particularly now, it's really hard to come face to face, although that's beginning to open up. I think I think video is going to be with us a very long time in a hybrid way. So how are you looking at your job, you and Chaba? How are you looking at developing 2021 in your business?
Basically, we look for creating the relationship. We try to attract the right partners because we don't look for licenses. This is our life's work. Then we don't looking for just number of people. We're looking for people who believe in and want to make a change. And you have to start with yourself and with others. Then basically, this is what the global disc and can help you with. Because first is to understanding yourself. That's why we're starting from what, how, and why you do the things the way you do. Before we actually telling you how you can create that synergy with others. And right now, I found that the people are so much more open to new adventures, to new connections. For me, before, looking for connection with the people over the internet, because we work with 37 countries, then we're not going to travel for every meeting. Then for me, these days, it's so much easier. People are much more open to connecting over Zoom, even if it's in London, which is 30 minutes away from me. Before, I had to have a day trip. These days, it's like, oh my gosh, you can work from home, and it's so much easier. You can actually speed it up. And the trust it's built up so much easier.
Right.
I found it
even
unbelievable.
accelerate more. You can do much more faster, better.
And I think so. I know the pandemic made lots of heartbroken and lots of lost lives. But I think it opened up a very different door to our own hearts. We really see it that the people are what we need to take care of. The other things we can still develop, we can resource it on a different ways, but people, the only aspect which we have to take care of. Then as a companies who start working with us, we can see it, the difference of the relationships between employees and employers are building up.
So, Kasia, you guys just conducted a course. I was reading about it earlier today or last night. That just ended. And so this is a deep dive on, forgive me if I misstated and please correct me, but it was about, I look at things my way, but that's not how you're looking at them.
Absolutely.
Or how Chase is looking at them. And so how do people communicate when these just have to look what's going on in the US with political stuff. I mean, people are just talking right past each other and bickering, and it's like a bad marriage.
And this is really coming to being very close-minded. This is the problem where we're going through everywhere. And that's what we're teaching. We're talking about on common sense. And wherever it's coming from me, it's not gonna be common to any of you. then why are we trying to talk about common sense? It doesn't exist. And how many times happened that you met someone and you had that conversation, you thought, oh my gosh, that person have no common sense. And did you ever thought that that person thinks the same thing about you? There is 99% chance that they thought the same thing. It's just to see the situations from very different perspective. This is where we opening up to actually for that conversation, to be just curious and see it, okay, where are you coming from with this information? This must be some kind of truth. Or maybe we can make it even better, this project or this, I don't know, answers to developing on the businesses or the communications.
Jana, what do you think of that idea? Jana.
All I can say is amen to what Keisha shared. It's so true that we all have absolutely different perspectives that drive who we become and what we think and what we manifest in life, and it's shaped through our cultures and backgrounds and education and where we are, where we work, and having this openness and learning self-awareness first. Like Keisha said, I really love it. Can create an opportunity for us to become more open to others and be acceptive. I absolutely love that concept.
We have to understand that a part of the cultural differences, which we're thinking about nationalities, gender differences, or generations, there is so much more. And we really forget about that.
Jana, what leadership skills do women need to focus on in a development effort?
I would say I would like to highlight 5 that are very crucial right now in this moment. If you want to grow as a woman and become a leader, you got to start with yourself. You got to start to learn learn how to lead yourself, how to be self-disciplined. And the 5 that I highlighted are: first, passion to lead. Are you passionate? Do you have the enthusiasm to lead yourself and others? And that's going to portray in the energy that you bring to conversation and collaborations. The number 2 is your ability to inspire. It's really, can you convey this passion and mission in your leadership to inspire others? And that really ties into number 3, which is resilience. And I think anybody right now in the world, whether you aspire to be a leader or not, I think you are, really, we all need resilience. We all need to figure out how to pivot, how to withstand certain things that are coming our way, and persevere through hardships. And then number 4 is courage. You got to be courageous to lead. You got to be courageous to stand up. You got to be courageous to say, I have an idea and I can implement this. I can solve this problem. So courage is imminent. And the number 5 is acceptance. And that ties so much what Keisha said, is really being acceptive, that your perspective is not the only perspective. You got to accept different views, different perspectives, different people, different backgrounds, and embrace that through collaboration, through leading yourself first, you can lead others and inspire others effectively.
So that's brilliant. And that's food for thought for sure. So we want to go deeper in those because each of them is a book. But have you heard of the phrase imposter syndrome?
Oh, yeah. I have heard about it. And I would say many women particularly suffer from it. And from my experience, I've met brilliant women that have multiple diplomas, have MBAs, all sorts of certifications, yet they self-doubt themselves and they self-negate themselves. They devalue themselves. And because of that, they are not considered for a promotion or for leadership roles because of their internal view of themselves. And it's not as much as accolades, it is that inner view, inner motivation, inner confidence, not necessarily arrogance, but confidence is that what can help you to move through that.
But the portrayal of the reality, not the fear of or being self-deprecating to the detriment of oneself. So a board member or somebody senior will look at that as, I don't want this hassle, I don't want these problems in the personality mix, because we got enough anyway. And so the lady in that case is passed over. Is that what you're talking about?
I say what I'm talking about is the lady and why the women are passed over, because internally they don't feel they can be at the higher level. And that self-doubt then manifests outwardly, where it's almost invisibly sensed by others. So that self-confidence and knowledge that you may not know everything, and in fact, none of us know everything, but you can perform at the higher level, will portray that, again, sometimes invisible courage and confidence that others will pick and say, this is a person I really would like to get to know and see what that person is capable of.
So in just a second, Casey, I want to go to you for your take on this, okay? But about this phrase, imposter syndrome. So I mean, I have to tell you that back in March, Paul Johnson and I, who've done 200 radio shows together, but never a TV, so he said, fake it till you make it, So basically that is the imposter syndrome, right? For me, I had to figure out what I'm doing, what to wear, so.
Yes, how to show up. And I'm sure you had some doubts about it, because that's not your area of expertise. That's the uncomfortable zone. That's a zone outside of your comfort that you've known for years. So anybody who wants to grow, level up, or 2 levels up, or 3 levels up, they're going to find themselves in that situation that the entire atmosphere is unknown, and you're going to have to navigate through that.
Interesting. Kasia or Kasia? How do you? Kasia, got it. All right. Try to remember that. And so, in the global disc has a lot of colors and how things relate to types of personalities or country personalities. And so what we're talking about right now is self-doubt and self-deprecation, or ways of looking at seniority and things like that. That's what the disc is all about, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it's about the self-doubt. It's understanding why we do things the way we do. What's our values and beliefs, and how we met those needs. Because all of us, we have specific way to meet those needs. That's why we are so different. And we can have a similar personality to each other, but because we experience so many different things and we found the best ways to meet those needs, then we're gonna act differently. But I wouldn't say it's it wouldn't be affected by global disc already. That will give you strengths and understanding what's your personality traces, how you behave in certain situations, how you respond to other profiles. That would definitely make you aware of why you have those doubts about yourself, maybe why you reacted in those situations, why sometimes when you met that person, oh my gosh, it just I couldn't go through that conversation, because the communication or behavior styles are so different. And well, I think so what Janashi says, this is what's happening in the very big environments or in the companies, because the culture, it's so different to your culture. And this is where you have a burnout. And to conform to those norms, it takes so much of you without understanding why you do those things. And this is why sometimes it's really difficult to go higher than we're supposed to go.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
So your background, also John's background in Eastern Europe, and my background is Northeast U.S. And Chase, so you're originally from Utah?
I am. I was born in Utah, but we moved back and forth between Utah and California a bunch as a kid growing up.
And now you're in Texas.
And now I'm in the great state of Texas.
Okay, that's cool. So what do you think of all this talk?
It's incredibly interesting to see and hear the different ideas and thoughts behind it. And while both of them were talking, it made me think back to another one of the assessments that I'm trying to remember what it's called right now. I'll think of it in a second. But I've had to take it 3 different times over the last, from November 8th through last week. And each time I took it, I had a different end result.
Wow.
And I asked the person who was asking me to take, I said, does this mean that I'm a nutcase? Am I losing my mind or am I broken? I don't know. But they didn't have an answer. So I guess that means I am a nutcase. But it really is interesting to hear really the different ideas and viewpoints. I think at the end of the day, it would be good for all of us just to sit down and instead of talking about all the things that are different, and we have so many things that are common that we could talk about and have a full-fledged conversation that would not, as often is found on social media, blow up and become a thing. We have so much more in common than we have out of common.
Yeah, thank you. So this is really just shooting the breeze. I don't know what else to say here. So how do you be a change agent, Chase?
Yeah, great question. As you look at the world around you, the first thing you've got to understand is that things are going to change. Our nonprofit 20 years ago realized that education is not going to be the same in 2021 as it was in 1999. A lot has changed with technology. A lot has changed with how and where and when all these things happen from an education perspective. And it's funny to me because I often spend most of my day talking about that change does happen in education. But if you start, late 90s and work backwards from there, not much changed for 200 years. It was a very constant thing that happened. But then you look at the last 20 years and it's changed dramatically, night and day. And I think for those of us who want to move forward in this, first understand that change does happen, but then we need to learn how to anticipate that change. Because if we're always playing catch up to the change, we're never going to be where we have to be in order to be successful long term. And once we have the understanding that change happens, that we can anticipate the change, then it's time to start monitoring. Where is it going to be again next week, next month, next year? And then where are we in relation to where that change is happening? And it's not an education thing specifically. It's good even in our personal life, right? With my wife and with my kids, understanding that my kids are growing. And it's been really tough because I've got a 9-year-old now who makes his own choices, and he wakes up and he makes his own breakfast. And where's my little baby? I held him in my hands, but change happens. And I have to make sure that I'm preparing my family, because another 9 years and he's going to be moving out of the house. He's going to be going to college or university or getting a job or going into the military or doing something. And so I only have a limited amount of time to invest into my family. And if I don't understand that there are changes happening along the way, I'm going to wake up and it's going to be too late to make any of those changes or investments.
Yeah, it's very insightful. Thank you for sharing that. So when you look back at the book, okay, Who Moved My Cheese? It was a sensation back then. I remember that. And is that what you're talking about now?
Yeah. So my dad gave me a copy of Who Moved My Cheese, and it is, I don't know, Ed, what is it, like 100 pages maybe? Big font, small pages.
This small book.
Yeah, it's not big at all, but it tells the story of two mice, Hem and Haw, and they go in search of cheese, and the cheese moves locations, and one of them goes out to search for more cheese while the other one keeps going back to the same place where the cheese used to be. And it really is a fantastic way of realizing life changes and we've got to change with it or we're going to starve. I mean, ultimately, that's the end of the book, right? You either change or you don't. And I'd rather change and stay with the flow.
So your day job in the schools, online schools, I don't want to do a deep dive on this today, but we want everybody to know what you do. So, our show today is going to be about data. All right. And is that teaching data or just how to think about what to teach as administrators?
So there's several different use cases, and it's not specific to schools, but my example will be specific to schools. We are living in a world now where we have technology, and because of the technology that we have access to data. And here's a great example. Our students will go through Unit 3 in their math test, math unit, and at the end they have the quiz or the test, some form of an assessment. We get all the data about how they performed on that assessment. So now I've got, let's say, 20 students in that class, and I can see that all of them missed question 7. Now we can take that data, turn around and give it back to the teacher and say, hey, question 7, everybody got wrong. I think we missed a step. Let's reteach this section and make sure that students are mastering the concept, not just completing the work. And I think what we've seen specifically since No Child Left Behind, which was a US law that tried to push students to go forward, we've just tried to get students to complete work. We haven't made sure that they're actually mastering a concept. And in the workplace, and I'm sure that all of us here have data in some form or fashion, but if we can learn how to use that data and turn it into an action item, that is so far and beyond anything that's ever been out there. I think back to a traditional school, they just have a stack of 20 papers, right, and the teacher would have to spend an hour going through, okay, which question did a lot of students miss? Now, as soon as all the students are done, snap of a finger, I know, okay, most of the students missed question 7. Half the students missed question 3. I know exactly what I'm going to reteach tomorrow.
So we have 9 minutes left, and I invite you to come back and do this again someday. Johnny, you have young kids. What do you think of what Chase was just talking about?
I I completely agree. It is a phenomenal concept that we need to reimagine education and start thinking about how to prepare our children to interpret data, which is going to be all around us, and um, big make bigger picture out of it. Basically, think systemically, think strategically in how they can solve their own problems and how they can help others solve problems in this world. And I think it is more geared toward recognizing also innovation and thinking creatively versus to traditional school setting where you follow set rules and you follow what you're told. There is a huge difference in the way that children think or perceive if you start teaching them in this way that Chase described.
Especially the age bracket, and some have needs that are more special or more gifted or what. Chase, why don't you guys exchange messages in the chat with your emails or site so you can carry forward? My job is to bring people together, and build an audience and sell some ads, but how you guys meet and what you do next is really, really important to me. So, special needs. Chase and I have had this discussion before. When a child has a special need, um, how does your school, how do your schools approach this?
Yeah. So one of the things that we focus on is we have to look at each student for who they are as an individual student. And it goes from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other. And we have to figure out, how do we individualize that student's education? And that could mean we support through remediation from a concept where they're not completely understanding it, or it could be additional extra work to push them a little bit further because they've already mastered the concept. Okay, let's take that a step farther. And we have to make sure that it's not something specific. For instance, a lot of people hear me talk about data and they say, oh, he must only have full-time online schools. Well, we do have a full-time online school, the Bridge School. It's an international private school. But this applies to our brick and mortar schools as well. We have hybrid programs where they have that digital foundation. We can use that data to individualize instruction for each individual student. And it's not because we want kids to be behind a computer for 8 hours a day. I think that's terrible. We shouldn't be doing that. And so many people are. But we should be using the time that they are on the computer to pull that data out to drive the instruction and to drive like the project-based learning that's done with fingers getting dirty in a big pot of dirt, and they're figuring out, how does this plant grow and how does the water and the air and the sunshine affect all that stuff. And so we use this to guide the instruction, but not just to guide computer time. And I think that's really the big point that is so important to get across is we use it to drive what needs to happen for each individual student.
Jana?
I have 2 children with special needs myself. My first one's graduated. It's been a really learning journey to go through with her. I think there are challenges in the typical education system, and there are definitely ways of improvement. So it's really refreshing to hear some of the ideas that Chase shared, and hopefully that more and more people and organizations and even public school entities realize the need for more tailored education, not just for children with special needs, but for everybody, because we're all so unique.
Kasia, so in your experience in relationships, you're running into, I'm sure, many, many situations. And we don't know what's going on in people's lives. This is a unique sharing experience, and I'm grateful to provide a platform for this interchange. But, Kasia, how do you do it? How do you manage this kind of a situation in your role, in your job?
I think there is a very important thing where you have to care to create a trust, right? And you have to make that safe space. And if you show the interest to a person and you are actually genuinely interested, you can turn things around. That's how you create relationships. And there is going to be situations, then, you have to give up and step back for some time. But this is how you do. Show the care, show the interest, just genuine. That's what I believe. It's the most important. People want to be heard.
Excellent. I'm speechless now. So I thank you, Kasia, for doing this. I know it's a little unusual, but you're perfect. So I
I'm out
welcome.
of my comfort zone.
Well, it's hard to believe, frankly. And Jana, thank you again. What's your next show about? Your next broadcast?
Our next broadcast this upcoming Monday will be with Distinguished Toastmaster, and we're going to talk about the difference between success and significance, and how to move from success to significance and what it means. And I think it's all different for each one of us. And we're going to share a little bit of both of our journeys and what it means for us, and hopefully inspire people to think a little bit deeper to what that may mean for them and what actions they can take going from there.
Okay, thank you very much. Chase, we'll see you soon on another network. And we're going to be talking about data and K-12. And I thank you all for being on Global TV again. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day. Ciao.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.